Welcome to Orthodox World this week, Orthodox News in Digital Space. I'm your host, Abel Matthews. Let's see what happened in the Orthodox world last week. Ecumenical Patriarchate recognizes the Macedonian Orthodox Church. The Ecumenical Patriarchate has issued a statement recognizing the Macedonian Orthodox Church, Ohrid Archbishopric, after the Synod session that was held on 9th May 2022 under the chairmanship of Patriarch Bartholomew. Thus, the Macedonian Orthodox Church have entered into full communion with the Church of Constantinople. According to the statement, the Patriarchate welcomes into the Eucharist communion the hierarchy, clergy, and laity under Archbishop Stephan of this church, thereby healing the word of schism. The Patriarchate urges the Church of Serbia for dialogue and for the regulation of the administrative matters between itself and the Church in the Northern Macedonia, in the context of course of the sacred canonical order and church tradition. The Patriarchate recognized Ohrid as the name of this church, understood as the region of this jurisdiction solely with the boundaries of the territory of Northern Macedonia, as also promised in the writing to the Ecumenical Patriarchate by its primate, thereby excluding the term Macedonian and any other derivative of the word Macedonia. The Macedonian Orthodox Church is the largest Christian church in Northern Macedonia, which is partially recognized within the Eastern Orthodox Communion. Metropolitan Stephan is the present head of the church. It has a difficult history with the Serbian Orthodox Church, from which it separated in 1964. However, after a long halt, both churches have recently resumed dialogue for unity. Patriarch Ignatius Ephraim II blesses Katalina Novak, the new president of Hungary. On 14th May 2022, Patriarch Ignatius Ephraim II of the Syriac Orthodox Church participated in the special service for the installation of Her Excellency Mrs. Katalina Novak, the new president of Hungary, at the Calvin Square Calvinist Church in Budapest. During the event, the Patriarch blessed the newly inaugurated president of Hungary. The Syriac Orthodox Church shares an intense relationship with the Hungarian government. The country has been supporting a large number of persecuted Christians in the Middle East. His Excellency Bishop Salant Belango, President of Reformed Churches of Hungary, His Eminence Cardinal Petre Edro, the Catholic Archbishop of Budapest, and other religious leaders participated in the ceremony. His Excellency Prime Minister of Hungary, Mr. Viktor Orban, as well as the ministers and the other civil officials also attended the ceremony. His Holiness was accompanied by His Eminence Archbishop More Joseph Bali, Patriarchal Secretary and Media and Office Director. Orthodox Christian leaders took part in the first ever faith leader conferences held in Saudi Arabia. Heads and representatives of various Orthodox churches took part in the first ever Faith Leaders Conference hosted by the Muslim World League on 11th and 12th of May 2022. Ecumenical Patriarchate Bartholomew I, Archbishop Ivan Zoraya of Orthodox Church of Ukraine, Father Daniel Mastrov of the Moscow Patriarchate attended the two-day conference titled The Forum for Promoting Common Values Among the Followers of Religions. The conference brought together Christian, Muslim, Hindu, Jewish, and Buddhist leaders who discussed various aspects of interfaith cooperation. The conference also aimed at building relationships between the non-Islamic and Islamic world. In his speech, Ecumenical Patriarchate stated that it is impossible to understand the past, analyze the present, or imagine the future of humanity without referring to the role of religion. Religion is not only connected with the deep concerns of human beings, it is also related to the identity of people and civilization. Religion has created and preserved the greatest cultural achievements of humankind, essential moral values, respect for human dignity, and the integrity of creation. Our sacred text includes precious anthropological knowledge. Religion is the egg of wisdom and the spiritual inheritance of humanity. Culture has, in general, the impact of religion. At the end of the conference, a declaration on the common human values was published. Patriarch Porfirije urges to safeguard the Orthodox Christian heritage in Kosovo and Metohija. Patriarch Porfirije of Serbia made a recent visit to Kosovo and Metohija, where he urged the Serbian community to safeguard and protect Orthodox Christian heritage in the region. The Patriarch in his speech stated that these are our shrines. They belong to the Serbian Orthodox Church. Decani, the Patriarchate of Pek-Garinica, the most holy Theotokos of Libiaza, and again all other shrines on Kosovo and Metohija are the heritage of the Serbian Orthodox Church. However, everything that is spiritual is in its authentically spiritual is never limited to one person or one nation. Exactly because it is spiritual, even though it is ours, it is transcendent by both its significance and beauty, the borders in which we exist and to which we belong. And these are the shrines that are cultural heritage of the whole world. Therefore, we should not be surprised that all the listed shrines are under the protection of UNESCO. That is why all of us should make an effort, as monks do it, as the church does it, but also all other factors, both locally and wider, but also globally, to protect these shrines as cultural heritage from the 14th century, which is the most sublime and the beautiful thing that the human race could have given in these shrines. All well-initiated factors should make an effort to not only to safeguard and preserve these shrines, but also to keep the significance they have and had throughout history. Significance for us, for they are our Serbian Orthodox heritage, but also for all other people. The 16th century Armenian Orthodox Church of Saint Gregorius reopens in Diyarbakir, Turkey. Archbishop Shaha Meshhelian, the Armenian Patriarchate of Constantinople, led the first liturgy at the reopening ceremony of the Church of St. Gregorius in Diyarbakir, Turkey on 7th May 2022. The church was heavily damaged in 2015. It was seized by the Turkish government in 2016 under the Article 27 of the expropriation law. However, the situation improved and the church was restored in due course of time. On the occasion, Archbishop commented that the reopening of the church has given a new lifeline to the Christians in the region. This church has several unique architectural features, including 7 altars, making it one of the most important Christian churches in the Middle East. Father Mesrop Pasmian elected as the new bishop of the Eastern Diocese of Armenian Church. The delegates of 120th Assembly of the Eastern Diocese of Armenian Church of USA have selected Father Mesrop Pasmian as their new primate. The election was held on 6th of May 2022. The confirmation from the Catholicos Patriarch Kirikin II will make Father Mesrop Pasmian as the 13th bishop of the diocese. Before his election, Father Mesrop served as the director of ministers. The Eastern Diocese of the Armenian Church falls under the jurisdiction of Mother See of Holy Echmiadzin. The cunning intention of Pope Francis to visit Russia at the expense of war in Ukraine. Pope Francis has expressed his desire to visit Moscow to meet President Putin to persuade him to stop the war in Ukraine. However, he is not interested to visit Kiev. In a recent statement, Francis made it clear that I will not go to Kiev yet. I have sent Cardinal Michael Krezini and Cardinal Konrad Korowicki, who went there for the 4th time. But I feel like I don't have to go. First, I have to go to Moscow and meet with Putin. I am also a priest. What can I do? I do what I can. Interestingly, Pope Francis called off the second meeting with Patriarch Kirill upon the advice from senior Vatican diplomats that a meeting with the primate of Russian Church in the light of the conflict in Ukraine would result in a lot of confusion. Pope was planning to meet the Russian Patriarch in June 2022 in Lebanon. On the other hand, his desire to visit Moscow was reaffirmed by Cardinal Pietro Parolin, Secretary of the State, on 4th May 2022. It is to be noted that Pope Francis nor Vatican did not directly condemn Russia at the beginning of the war in Ukraine. However, Francis urged Patriarch Kirill not to become Kremlin's altar boy in an interview given to Corriere della Sera newspaper, which anchored the Russian Church. According to Francis, we still have not had a response and we are still being persistent, even though I am afraid Putin may not be able to and may not want to have this meeting right now. The Pope had said, I am doing what I can if Putin were to open the door. Regardless of all religious, political, and diplomatic confusions and exchanges, Pope Francis has continually expressed his desire to visit Russia. So what is the whole point behind Pope Francis' desire to visit Moscow? It is nothing but to use the present crisis in Ukraine for a diplomatic manipulation to pay a visit to Russian soil. Why this visit so important for the Roman papacy? Just because none of the Roman popes have ever visited Russia. The wish of previous pontiffs to pay a visit to Russia was never welcomed by Russian Orthodox Church. Hence, for Pope Francis, this is the right moment to grab an easy visit to Moscow as the angel of peace at the expense of the conflict in Ukraine. Vatican Secretary of State Pietro Parolin urges to send weapons to Ukraine. Cardinal Pietro Parolin, the Secretary of State of the Vatican, stated that the weapons can be sent to Ukraine under certain conditions. Weapons can be supplied to Ukraine to help defend the country against Russian aggression, and it is morally legitimate. He justified such an act in a recent interview based on the Catholic Church teaching on just war. According to Cardinal, there is a right to armed defense in the case of aggression. He also stated that relationship between the Russian Orthodox Church and Vatican are quite hard at the moment. That's all for the week. Thank you for watching Orthodoxy Cognate page. Hope to see you in the next week. Thank you.